You're having a great day this morning as we are heading into spring. I don't know what the official first day of spring is, but around here, it's whenever you can finally take your coat off. Like just in the morning. I mean, the afternoon, it's completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
But wherever you are, you might be like, it's still got 10 feet of snow here. Like, I understand. You put on a screensaver or you could just fly down here.
There you go.
But we are glad you're with us. No matter where you're listening from, we are glad to be joining together as we walk through the Word together. We got a great devotional from Pastor Steve this morning about how grace is worth boasting about. This is from Ephesians 2:8.
It says, God saved you by his grace when you believed. And you can't take credit for this. It is a gift from God.
What's interesting about credit is people love when they have good credit, and they hate when they have bad credit. So it's almost like they're super proud of their credit score.
Yeah.
You know, like going like, hey, I paid my bills on time. You think about it, you're like, is that really that big of a deal? Like, it was your bill, or somebody says, hey, listen, I didn't pay my bill on time, but I don't want anybody to know.
That's more common.
So this is the way we've gotten to now is when we do something wrong, we don't want anybody to know about it. But when we do something right, everybody should know about it, even if it's completely normal.
Right.
I paid for something.
And
you have to. You have to pay for something. But that's what's interesting about grace is the commerce system, or the way to say it is the payment system, is totally different. You're not able to get credit for it because you didn't do it. Grace hidden from you.
Yeah.
Right. It's literally what it says. But the first thing that Pastor Steve pointed out is grace makes a way. First off is it makes a way to even say, hey, I got this. We'll get into who gets credit in just a minute, But God makes a way for you and I that really was impossible.
Yeah, we can't do it. Whenever, you're in a tight spot and you don't have it within you to make it. You can't make it. You need grace at that time.
And that's where so many of us are. We get to a place where we go, and especially now, I've been seeing a lot of people talk about how they're going through seasons of fatigue. And I've been noticing this more. This is not just a season of the year. I feel like maybe this is even something where it's a post-pandemic thing, or not that we're completely through everything, but also too, just who knows all of the repercussions that we've had, just so many things in the news and things. And you get to a place where you say, I'm not sure I can make it through this today, this one part, or, whether it can be meetings or maybe something with your kids or your family. You need grace. That may be a small thing. Other ones where you say, I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills. Or you got a diagnosis, or some friends who are walking through cancer diagnosis and they're saying, how am I going to make it through this? We barely could keep our schedule together. And now we have treatments. And
all
things.
of this. And
you say, I need grace. That's the first thing is it makes a way. And you can get to a place where it almost sounds like what Peter was saying. How can I get through this? Almost like saying, how can anyone be saved? And we see that in Matthew 19:25 and 26.
It says, who then can be saved? Jesus looked at them and said, with man, this is impossible. But with God, all things are possible.
With God, all things are possible. And that's one of those tricky words when they say that's impossible. Well, it's like, there were certain things that people said were impossible, like, breaking the sound barrier, things like that, that we've seen throughout history that obviously have now been done. And, someday there'll be other ones where they said that's impossible. Impossible is really a strange word because it's impossible so far.
So, yeah.
Yeah. You're like, well, it's like somebody saying, to my parents saying, your son's never going to get through kindergarten. That's impossible. I'm like, well, I made it. Fourth try was a charm. There are things where you can break through these barriers. But today you might be feeling like you're hitting a ceiling, as they say. And you're like, well, that ceiling's like at 2 feet. I feel like I'm lying down and that ceiling is getting out of bed. But whatever it is that you're facing, God can bring you through that. Today we have access to a God that can do impossibilities.
That's amazing.
Incredible.
I mean, he created the universe. He spun the stars out there. He created time and light. And to think, wow, oh, you know what? If I can only just trust him.
Absolutely.
But it's hard. What do? You muster up grace or faith, you can't.
And
It's given to you.
Yeah, and that's what Pastor Steve was unpacking a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Either that or you watch superhero movies where they can kind of manifest anything they need. They need like a bridge to cross something. They just like wave their hands and it appears. But God is not a magician today, but he is a way maker. So today we're going to worship that Lord.
Amen. I don't know if you've heard this song from Tasha Layton. It's a good one. Listen to this. It says, "Look what you've done," on 91.1 Destiny Radio.
Look what you've done. How could you fall so far? You should be ashamed of yourself. So I was ashamed of myself. The lies I believed, they got some roots that run deep. I let them take a hold of my life. I let them take control of my life. Standing in your presence, Lord, I can feel you digging all the roots up. I feel you healing all my wounds up. All I can say is hallelujah. Look